Christmas Notes. Let's find out how David expresses his gratitude to people who have sent him gifts on special occasions. David asked Mary,
"Have you written a letter of gratitude to thank the Smiths for what they have sent us?"
"No," replied Mary in an angry tone.
"I have already written 13 letters today in appreciation for the sundry unmerited gifts, but haven't written to the Smiths as yet." "Someone will have to write to the Smiths. It doesn't seem appropriate ignoring them,"
said David.
"I know that it is important to write to them, and someone has to take the responsibility. But why should that someone be me?"
asked Mary.
"Given an opportunity, I would love to write a letter of recrimination or something through which I can express my anger to some suitable recipient. But now I can no more carry on further in order to express servile amiability. 13 letters today and 7 yesterday, which makes it 20 in total, all of them expressing the same thought of ecstatic appraisal. Now please don't expect me to write another one,"
said Mary wearily.
"You can very well understand that I have other things to do as well, besides my usual business correspondence to get through. However, I don't know what the Smiths have sent us,"
said David. Mary said,
"A calendar with Wordsworth's picture, along with a quotation of one of his great thoughts for every day of the year." "I don't believe this,"
said David.
"He couldn't have penned down 365 thoughts during his entire lifetime. According to me, he was someone who believed in taking action. He never believed in self-introspection."
David continued,
"Well, let's get back to our work of writing a letter of thanks and be done with it. I'll tell you what to write, and you can simply write it down. Dear Mrs. Smith, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you and your husband for such a pretty calendar you sent us. It was so nice of you to remember us." Got that down? "This is not the appropriate way to write a letter,"
said Mary, interrupting David.
"It's what I always say to others, and what others say to me,"
objected David. Mary said,
"We sent them something well before the Christmas, so it was obvious that they had to reciprocate. By the way, what did we send them?"
asked David.
"We sent them a carom board. The moment I saw the board in the shop, I said to myself, this is the perfect gift to be sent to the Smiths. And then I asked the attendant how much it cost. When he said 900 rupees, I gave him their address, put in our card, and paid 1000 rupees, which would include the carriage,"
replied Mary proudly.
"The Smiths don't like to play indoor games,"
said David.
"I don't think that I am expected to know what each one likes or dislikes,"
said Mary.
"Besides, did the Smiths think whether we like to read Wordsworth or not? Well, let's get on with the letter of thanks,"
said David.
"Okay, go ahead,"
said Mary.
"How intelligent and insightful of you to guess that Wordsworth is our favorite poet,"
dictated David. Again, Mary interrupted, since she didn't agree with David's statement.
"Do you realize what are you saying?"
Mary remarked.
"We will get another Wordsworth collection next Christmas, and yet another calendar on New Year, and once again be saddled with the tedious task of having to write suitable letters of appreciation. I think the best thing to do is to write something in general,"
David retorted.
"I don't think it would be wise on our part to set aside the subject of the calendar. Surely there must be some clever remark that can be made about it."
"Well, I can't think of one," persisted Mary.
And the fact is that we've both written enough letters. Good Lord, I've just remembered that I haven't thanked Mrs. Baker for what she sent. What did she send? I can't recall exactly. I think it was also a calendar.
There was a long silence, the forlorn silence of those who are bereft of ideas and have almost ceased to care. David now rose from his seat with a strong determination in his mind.
Let me come to the writing table, he asserted. Happy to have you here,
said Mary.
Are you going to write to Mrs. Baker or the Smiths? I wouldn't write to either of the two,
said David, drawing a notepad.
I'm going to write to the editor of every literate and prestigious newspaper in the country. I'm going to suggest that there should be a sort of epistolary truce of God during the festivities of Christmas and New Year. It should be considered illegal to write or expect any letter or communication that does not deal with the necessary events of the moment. Answers to invitations, information on arrival and departure about trains, renewal of club subscriptions, including all the ordinary everyday affairs of business, sickness, engaging new cooks, and so on should be dealt with in the usual manner as something which can't be avoided. But all the devastating accretions of correspondence taking place during the festive season should be dealt away quickly to give the season a chance of being really festive, a time of untroubled, uninterrupted peace and goodwill wherein everyone gets a feel of the festival.
But you would have to make some special acknowledgement of the presents received, objected Mary. Otherwise people would never know whether it arrived safely.
Of course, I have thought of that,
said David.
Every present that will be sent off would be accompanied by a ticket bearing the date of dispatch and the signature of the sender, and some conventional hieroglyphic to show that it was intended to be a Christmas or New Year gift. There would be a counterfoil with space for the recipient's name and the date of arrival, and all of you would have to do would be to sign and put the date on the counterfoil, add a conventional hieroglyphic indicating heartfelt thanks and gratified surprise, put the thing into an envelope and post it.
This seems very simple, said Mary,
but people would consider it too perfunctory. As far as I can think, it is at par with the present system,
said David.
I always use the same conventional language of expressing gratitude to thank everyone. I expressed my gratitude to dear old uncle for his perfectly delicious cake, which we enjoyed to the last bite, and the Smiths for their calendar, which we shall never look at. Uncle knows that we are grateful for the cake, and the Smiths know that we are not excited about their calendar, whatever we may say to the contrary, just as we know that they are not excited to receive the carom board, in spite of the fact that they have always been kind enough to thank us for a gift. Despite the fact that Uncle knows that even if we had taken a sudden aversion to cake because the doctor had imposed restrictions on the use of it, we would still have written a letter of hearty thanks for it.
Your plan would certainly bring the idea of a peaceful Christmas a step closer to actualization, said Mary.
Although there are certain deviations,
said David.
There are people who try to add truthfulness into their letters of acknowledgement. Aunt Bessie, for instance, writes, "Thank you very much for the chocolates. Not such a good flavor as the one you sent last year," which itself was not a particularly good one. Chocolates are just not what they used to be in our young days. It would be a pity if we don't get to hear her Christmas comments, but that loss would be gobbled up in the general gain.
For now, do let me know what I should write to the Smiths, said Mary with a sigh.